Shooting Stars, Chapter 2. Oh my goodness, I haven't heard this music in a long time. I was wondering if I was going to hear it in this game. Creepy nightmare dream music.
No matter what you do, you will never be good enough.
Who's there? I call out, but there is only darkness around me.
Your efforts will be for nothing. Witches and humans could never live in peace.
The taunts and jeering grow louder, so loud I can hear them even when I press my hands to my ears.
But I'm trying.
There is laughter, cold and mocking.
You are a failure as a queen.
Please.
You're too weak to be the Tenebrarum Bearer. Lucette?
I'm sorry.
Lucette!
Aw, thanks, Waltz, for waking me up from that. My vision is blurry with tears when I blink my eyes open. Eventually, the smudges resolve into a familiar face. Waltz. He leans over me, eyebrows furrowed with worry.
Are you okay?
I rub at my eyes with the back of my hand. It was a nightmare, and there were all these voices.
They weren't real, Lucette.
Waltz wraps an arm around me and pulls me closer to him. But what if they are? What if those voices are the negative thoughts in the Tenebrarum?
Lucette.
What if they're right, Waltz? A pitiful sob escapes my lips as I press my face into his chest. Waltz rubs soothing circles into my back. Aw, she's actually crying.
They're not. You know they're not. All you have to do is look at the smiling faces around town.
But there is still so much strife and... Waltz kisses me softly on the head.
You can't solve every problem, Lucette. Not immediately. No ruler is perfect. King Gennaro wasn't either.
Father.
He'd be proud of you.
A calm silence follows. I breathe slowly in and out until I feel more relaxed and the dream has begun to dissipate. That is what it is, a nightmare. A terrible nightmare, but a dream all the same.
How about a trick, little star?
A trick? Waltz pulls away from me, hand curled.
Abra. Cadabra.
A lily sprouts to life between his fingers. The sight brings a smile to my face. You showed me this trick before, when I was a child. I poke him in the shoulder. You promised you'd show me how to do it on my 18th birthday, but you never did.
It's not as if I can't still teach you, you know. Besides, I was teaching you more important things then.
You taught me about shields. Every single day.
And now you make the best shields. And you have impeccable control over your electricity.
Really? Huzzah, finally, 5 roots I've learned to control my unlimited power.
Except for those moments where you accidentally shock me.
Okay, I take it back. I rub my fingers together, waiting until they spark with electricity before I shock Waltz in the shoulder. He shrinks away with a laugh. You mean like that?
Just like that. Anyway.
He leans forward.
You're going to take it easy today. Understood?
I just took a day off last week.
And now you can take another. You're forgetting you have advisors and counselors who can fill in for you. You should put them to work.
Waltz?
I won't take no for an answer.
Do you have any plans for us?
I have things I need to do, but I want you to take some time off today.
That's not fair!
It's more than fair. I'm just looking out for you.
That's not fair. Boo! Where's my third option of only on the condition that you also take a day off, sir? Even if it's not today. Why do I feel like I'm living out my own life? This is basically the conversation me and my husband have every day. You need to rest. You need to take a day off. Like, no, I have so much to do. No, I insist. You are lying down on the couch and watching YouTube videos. I've played out this enough in reality to know I must concede. I grumble beneath my breath. Fine. No doubt I will be panicking all day about the work I will need to do tomorrow. Same. Taking a break is going to be more stressful than doing work.
Not if you let yourself relax. Breaks aren't just nice, they're necessary. We do our best work when we're refreshed.
Why is it that I must take a break when you won't?
You're making this into a competition when it definitely is not supposed to be.
He leans forward to kiss the tip of my nose.
Do this for me, little star.
He looks at me, eyes wide and pleading. The expression is so endearing I cannot help but laugh. I already said I would.
Good. I think this will really help with the nightmares, too. So? I think a bath might help you relax. We have some time before breakfast. Why are you looking at me like that?
Have you already taken your bath? Waltz's lips curve into a lopsided smile.
I have, but I wouldn't mind jumping in again with you.
My face is so warm it feels like it is on fire. I grab the pillow off the bed and throw it at Waltz, who laughs when I abruptly rise. Well, where else were you going with that, Lucette?
Are you still embarrassed about the last time?
He raises an eyebrow.
I thought it was pretty fun.
Stop talking.
Was it the gossiping servants that made it strange?
I still remember the looks we got last time, coming from the bath chamber at the same time. We did not have the time to freshen up afterwards, so it was clear we had both taken a bath. Together. No one said anything to me, of course, or acted like it was strange, but I cannot stop thinking about the way they looked at us, like they were trying not to smile.
It was worth it, in my opinion.
I slide out of bed and make my way toward the door. Who was the other one that we had a bath incident with? Was it Claude? I feel like it was Claude. Waltz calls out to me.
Lucette, would you like to visit the graves later? We can start by going to the royal catacombs and visiting your father.
I pause. In all my busyness, I have missed visiting the catacombs and the graveyard. Missed visiting everyone. I would like that.
Then I'll see you later.
I nod. Yes, I shall see you later. Okay. Graveyard visits yet again. Later, during breakfast, Emmeline talks excitedly about her upcoming visit to Brigantia. Well, well, well. It has been over a year since Brigantia and Angielle entered a full alliance. Claude and I were the representatives for our kingdoms. It was only suitable, as Claude is the Brigantian heir. Ever since then, our families have become closer. Emmeline especially has become well acquainted with Claude's younger brother, Lance. She visits him in Brigantia every couple of months. Aww.
Lance tells me he's already prepared a tour of all the kingdom's best restaurants. It's going to be wonderful.
You think everything is wonderful so long as you're with Lance.
I hide my smile behind my hand when Emmeline blushes. Hi, Seppi, by the way. It's been ages. It is clear Emmeline really enjoys Lance's company. So much so that they exchange letters and visit each other often. It always makes me smile to see her besotted with someone.
Of course I do. Lance is Lance.
What in the world does that mean?
You're blushing, dear.
Mother, please.
Sorry.
You just become so animated when you speak about him.
Rod nods.
Even more than usual.
Emmeline puts her face into her hands and mumbles something. I shake my head. I like Lance. Waltz laughs.
He's very different from Claude, that's for sure.
I resist the urge to roll my eyes. While Claude is flamboyant and overdramatic, Lance is subdued and humble. The two of them are like two very different sides of the same coin, but they both sparkle.
You can have a conversation with Prince Lance that isn't entirely about him.
If Claude were here, he'd clutch his chest and whisper, "You wound me, darling."
And we'd laugh.
Not at him, but with him. I really miss them, everyone at the tavern. I always took that time for granted, but now I rarely see everyone together. At least I have everyone here. I look up to see Ophelia trying to mediate while Emmeline and Rod bicker. Before, these conversations would have annoyed me. Now I am a part of them. It is nice to feel like I belong. My whole life, that is all I have ever wanted. To belong. The rest of our breakfast is pleasant, filled with animated chatter. When it is over, we all head our separate ways. That was wholesome. I promised Waltz that I would take a break, so I do. I knew the moment I left the dining hall what I would do to relax. I smile to myself as I loop my needle through a fine piece of fabric, again and again. I have spent the morning sewing puppets. My hope is that Waltz will be able to use these for his shows, and that maybe, when I am less busy, I will be able to join him. The thought of a joint puppet show lifts my heart. It has been a long time since I helped Waltz as his assistant. I hope we can do something again soon. I glance up when the clock sounds. Right. I told Waltz I would meet him by the royal catacombs. I rise from my chair and begin to make my preparations to leave. I have just stepped into the corridor when I see a familiar face.
Good afternoon, Your Majesty.
Jurian approaches and bows low before me. Good afternoon, Jurian. Garland isn't with you.
He's busy training the new recruits.
Without you, the commander?
Garland can handle himself just fine. Besides, the recruits are a lot less nervous when it's just him.
Of that I have no doubt. I hear that Jurian is the one who pushes them, and Garland the one who forces them to take breaks. He and Jurian balance each other out that way. I'm glad you guys are together again. After I was crowned the Queen of Angielle, I appointed Jurian the new commander of the Order of Caldera. She immediately chose Garland as her second-in-command, which was not at all surprising. I was always able to tell that the two of them were close. Now I see that even more. I cast a look over my shoulder before leaning forward and whispering. So, has Garland proposed yet? Jurian stares at me, horrified. Come on, it's gotta happen. He was looking for you in Claude's route.
Wait, how did you know about... Your Majesty.
Waltz told me. He said he and Garland were talking about it one night in town.
Oh, damn it, Lan.
She raises an eyebrow. How do you know he's about to propose? Oh, good. Phew. I was like, did we ruin everything?
You're lucky he did propose. Otherwise you would have ruined the surprise.
Well, Garland did bring this up months ago, so... Wait. I blink at her. So, it's already happened and you said yes?
Of course. Were you expecting me not to? Garland is my partner in everything.
Her cheeks are flushed when she makes the proclamation, which makes it all the more endearing. Congratulations, Jurian. I am so happy for both of you.
Thank you kindly, Your Majesty.
She smiles.
I fully expect your wedding will happen before ours.
I wouldn't bet on it. The question stumps me. I always forget about the indefinitely postponed marriage ceremony until someone brings it up. Jurian shakes her head.
I'm just teasing. There's never any rush for such things.
I appreciate you saying that. I pause, thoughtful. Before you head out, I have a question for you about Fritz. Segue.
If this is about his impending promotion, then yes, I think he's proven himself more than worthy.
The words ease a weight I didn't know I was carrying on my shoulders. Promotion to what? Fritz has been working so tirelessly to make amends for the mistakes he was forced to make in the past. I proposed a promotion to Jurian months ago when I saw all of his hard work. Fritz has no idea. We plan on surprising him with an announcement sometime in the near future. I am so glad to hear it. Thank you for your hard work, Jurian.
Of course, my queen.
I must take my leave now. Waltz is waiting for me.
Give him my greetings, your majesty.
Jurian bows and walks away. Thanks, girl. Will do. When I arrive at the royal catacombs, Waltz is waiting for me with a bouquet of lilies.
Did work keep you longer?
No, I ran into Jurian. She said to offer you her greetings.
I wish I'd caught her before I left today. I miss talking with her and Garland. They're always so busy now.
Aren't we all? Walt shakes his head, a sad smile on his face. Standing here with him, I suddenly remember something he once said to me. You told me once that as we grow older, we forget how to be happy. Do you still think that's the truth, Waltz?
Ah, you remember that. I also said once that adults aren't children, that they worry too much and don't appreciate the small joys in life. I'll be honest. When I see you overworking yourself, I do think about that sometimes.
Waltz. That's why you are the way that you are, isn't it? You have a child's heart. You do find joy in the little things. Waltz's expression shudders so fast it alarms me. I apologize. I didn't mean to compare you to a child. I know that comparison used to really bother him. Waltz's shoulders sag.
No, it isn't that, Lucette. It's more the innocent part. I'm not innocent at all, you know.
The two of us could argue about this for days. Whatever my mother made Waltz do in the past, it was not his fault. He was a child that had no real power then. I respectfully disagree. I grasp his free hand. I will never change my opinion of you, Waltz. Let us go visit Father.
As you wish.
The catacombs are a short walk from where we're standing. Father's body is interred here, in an elaborate coffin that sits beneath a statue. Waltz gives me some space to speak to him alone. Father, can you give me some advice about how to talk to this boy? About how he's good enough, please? Hello, Father. It's been a while. I set a couple of lilies down on his coffin. I still hear your voice. It encourages me, even after all these years. I confess I feel small sometimes. I feel ill-prepared to carry on your legacy, but I am trying my best. I will always try my best. I set a hand down on the coffin. A bitter, jarring cold sinks into my fingers. I miss you so much, Father. I hope, wherever you are, that you are watching over me. I smile at the coffin one last time before returning to Waltz. He still has some flowers, offerings we mean to set on Mother and Parfait's gravestones in the forest.
Shall we?
I settle my hand in the crook of Waltz's arm. We shall. We make our way to the forest. The smell of flowers permeates the air as we draw closer to the small gravesite. It is not long before I see the field of flowers that marks the site. Still no mention of Myth's burial place, just saying. It is a serene place, filled with a plethora of vibrant flowers and littered with rays of sunlight. It is the perfect resting place. We make our way over to the 2 gravestones erected in the center of the field, the previous Lucis and Tenebrarum Bearers resting side by side. Are we going to run into Cinna? Waltz sits a lily down on the first grave.
For Lady Parfait.
I set the other lily down on the second gravestone. And one for Mother. They were enemies in the end, but I really hope the 2 of them are at peace wherever they are now. Waltz sets a hand on my shoulder.
If Lady Parfait was here, she would no doubt say she was proud of you.
Parfait was always kinder to me than I deserved.
That's not true, Lucette. You deserved all that kindness and more.
My eyes linger on Mother's grave. Waltz seems to read my thoughts from my silence.
I think your mother would have been proud of you too.
But Mother thought I was a traitor in the end. Sometimes in my nightmares I can still hear her screaming. That same scream that echoed in the throne room when I betrayed her trust and shot her with electricity 2 years ago.
The Hilder you knew was corrupted by the Tenebrarum. But Lady Parfait said she was a kind person before that corruption. I'm sure there was still some of that person left in your mother when she died.
A chasm always opens up inside of me when I realize I never truly knew that version of my mother. The mother I know was cold and manipulative. She erased my memories and used children to do her bidding. My eyes wander to Waltz. I'm sorry, Waltz.
For what?
For the way my mother must have treated you. I remember when the king told me Waltz found out belatedly that my mother killed his parents. She stole everything from him.
I've told you before, Lucette. None of that was your fault. Without you, I probably would have become corrupted by the darkness of the Tenebrarum too. You were my guiding light back then, and you still are, little star.
He crosses his arms as he looks at the gravestones. There is a thoughtful, forlorn look in his eyes.
Do you mind if we make a detour on our way back to the palace?
A detour to the Marchen? Walt shakes his head.
No, it's here in the forest.
He brushes past me and makes his way over to a rose bush. He plucks 2 of the flowers and turns to me.
It won't take long. I promise.
Walt, I swear if you about to drop some roses... No, never mind. Although, I was gonna say, if you about to drop some roses for my boy Myth, I will love you forever. But it would make more sense if it was for his parents. Considering there's 2 flowers, so I'm like, you know. I just thought it was kind of setting it up, because it was like, they were both kids under Hilder. Myth got corrupted by the darkness. That Waltz didn't. So I was like, are we segueing to Myth? Are we gonna talk about Myth? You guys kind of were rivals, you know. I nod, more curious than anything else. We'll see. Waltz smiles.
Thank you, Lucette.
He snaps his fingers. A bright light encompasses the area, and moments later, a portal appears before us. Waltz and I walk into it hand in hand. My vision briefly goes white. When it clears, I see I am in a different part of the forest. This place is quieter, even further away from the hustle and bustle of the town. I do not recognize it at all.
This place is still the same.
Where is this place? Waltz pulls me forward into a clearing. It is empty, save for 2 big rocks lying incongruously on the cleared ground. Is it like a placement for your parents? Like, did you not know where your parents were actually buried? His grip tightens on my hand. He suddenly looks tense. Waltz? Oh. Oh, no, this is so sad.
This is where my home used to be.
I glance around the area and notice scorch marks on the trees. Your home? You mean...
This is where I used to live with my parents.
Waltz's face is filled with melancholy.
This is the first time I've come back to this place in years.
This area of the forest is unnaturally quiet. It feels as if the trees themselves are mourning, like grief has drenched this place in a permanent, stifling melancholy. I have asked Waltz many times about his childhood. Always, he tells me his memories of his past are hazy. I never pushed him to recall anything on my behalf. I know what it is like to be weighed down by traumatic memories. But seeing the sadness on Waltz's face now, I wonder how much he has been keeping from me, not because he doesn't remember, but because he does not want to remember.
I'm sorry, Lucette. I'm afraid I haven't been entirely honest with you. I said before I didn't remember a lot of my life before Hildur, but that was a lie.
You do not need to apologize to me, Waltz. I know some memories are better left buried.
That's how I felt too. That's still how I feel.
He breathes out softly.
I always told myself I would bring you here after we got married, so that I could introduce you to my parents.
Aw, that is so sweet. He shakes his head.
But you let me accompany you when you visit your family, so I want you to meet mine.
Waltz walks me over to the rocks. His parents' graves, I now realize.
My parents told me they built the house all the way out here because they wanted to avoid humans. It was the safest place to be during the war. My parents were pacifists. To avoid detection, they rarely used their magic, which meant they barely taught me how to use my magic as I was growing up.
But everyone says you were a child prodigy. Waltz nods.
I studied on my own when they weren't watching.
He shuffles on his feet, looking suddenly abashed.
I snuck out to town and participated in secret tournaments even.
There were tournaments happening during the war?
Most of them were harmless. A means for witches to practice their magic without humans finding out. But some of those tournaments were not so harmless.
I can only imagine some witches use those tournaments to hone their skills for more nefarious purposes. But then, I'm certain there were knights who were training to do the same.
I only went to the tournaments to practice, but I ended up drawing the attention of some very dangerous witches.
I was worried this is the line we were going down. My mother. Waltz nods.
Hildur was never a part of the tournaments herself, but she recruited her best witches there. I knew none of that. I was just a kid.
Waltz crosses his arms. He shudders even though the air is stale and there is no breeze.
My parents eventually found out about my excursions and forbid me from going out. I didn't know it at the time, but Hildur had approached them when I wasn't home. She said I had potential, that she wanted me as her apprentice.
I look around the quiet clearing, heart sinking. I feel I already know how this story ends, and it makes me feel hollow.
I was stubborn. The day my parents died.
Waltz is looking at the gravestones, expression deadpan.
I'd snuck out to participate in another tournament when news spread of a house burning in the forest.
Waltz squeezes his eyes shut, his breathing hitches.
By the time I got back, everything was already burned down to ashes.
Waltz.
Hildur approached me that same day. She told me the fire had been started by witch-hating humans. When I had nowhere else to go, she offered me a place to stay. A home. She applauded my strength. She made me feel valued.
Waltz speaks haltingly, as if it takes a great deal of effort to say the words aloud. I wrap an arm around his shoulders and let him lean into me. I know his pain. When I was a child, I felt the same pain.
She introduced me to another one of her prodigies, Myth. The two of us. We blindly followed her every order, even when...
His voice trails, but I do not push. I lean my head against Waltz's shoulder. He sags against me.
I didn't know Hildur was the one who killed my parents until after she erased your memories.
How did you find out?
You were my light, Lucette. When I lost you, I felt like I'd fallen into darkness. I was so desperate I went to the king. I wanted to see if there was anything he could do to help you. Instead, he told me about my parents. The king may not have had any power over his kingdom then, but he still had his spies. And through one of these spies, he overheard that story. That was when I finally broke, when I tried to make things right. Hildur took everything from me. My parents, you, everything. So I turned my back on her. I betrayed her.
Silence settles over the forest again. I rub soothing circles into Waltz's back as he often does with me. When he next speaks, his voice is soft, fragile.
Hildur may have been the one to burn down the house, but I was the one who led her to them. If I'd just listened, if I hadn't participated in any of those tournaments, they'd probably still be alive.
I mean, you don't know that for a fact, but I understand the guilt you're carrying. It's horrible. I don't know why you would apologize in this situation when the best thing to do is just comfort him. I wrap my arms around Waltz's waist and rest my head against his chest. Waltz, you were a child.
But if I had just listened...
You can't think that way. You were not the one who set fire to the house. That was Mother's doing. You always tell me not to apologize for the things my mother did, and now I am telling you not to blame yourself for her actions. There is no point regretting a past we cannot change. All we can do is focus on creating a brighter future. And, Waltz, you have done so much for this kingdom. You always tell me my parents would be proud of me. I am sure your parents would be proud of you, too. I feel some of the tension seep out of Waltz's body as he returns my embrace.
Thank you, Lucette. Magic must never be used to harm others, only to protect them. That was what my parents used to say. I remembered that when I met you.
Remembered?
You're right. There's no point in thinking about the past now. You are my life now, Lucette, and I brought you here to see my parents. Thank you for listening to me. I've carried this story with me for many years. It's good to finally be able to share it.
Waltz steps away and leads me to the two big rocks. We each place a rose on them.
Father, Mother. This is my fiancée, Queen Lucette Brighton of Angielle. She's also the bearer of our Chrysalum Tenebrarum. Very soon, when we're both ready, we're going to be married.
I smile down at the gravestones. I do not know what Waltz's parents looked like, or even what they were like in demeanor. But the way Waltz speaks of them, it is with regret. He misses them, and I can tell he loved them. I bow my head. It is nice to meet you both. I speak to them as I speak to my own parents. I tell them about how much I love Waltz and how much he has done for this kingdom. I am the luckiest woman in the world to have him by my side. Waltz is beaming beside me.
Thank you, Lucette. And I'm the luckiest man in the world to be able to stand by your side.
He gently squeezes my hand.
It'll be dark soon.
Indeed. Maybe we should head back. Waltz looks thoughtful.
Actually, if you don't mind, I have something I want to show you.
Something else?
I know, I'm just dragging you all over the place. But this will be worth it, I promise.
Okay. Waltz and I walk through the forest until we reach a hill at the outskirts. Here we have a clear view of the night sky and the scintillating stars strewn across its expanse. Waltz, what are we doing here?
Stargazing.
All right. I forgot about the shooting stars chapter. When I just blink at him, Waltz laughs and tugs me gently down to the ground. I sit beside him, shivering slightly as a cool breeze rustles my clothing. It is a chilly night, but this breeze is actually refreshing.
When was the last time you saw a shooting star?
I don't remember.
I do. It was a long time ago, not long after I met you.
Oh?
I just snuck out of your room and back to mine.
He smiles softly.
I'd had such a fun time. So much fun, in fact, that when I saw a shooting star outside my window, I wished that fun would never end. I wished, in that moment, that I could keep having fun with you forever.
Your wish came true.
It did. Your happiness was always my primary concern, but it means the world that I could be the one to share that happiness with you.
There is no one else I'd rather share it with. I gasp when something bright streaks against the sky, one of the shooting stars we had just talked about. I do not remember if I have ever seen a shooting star, but I know what comes next. I clasp my hands together, close my eyes, and make a wish. I wish to be the queen my kingdom needs, and to be a bearer worthy of the Tenebrarum. And I wish to make Waltz just as happy as he has made me. Waltz speaks in a whisper.
Lucette, open your eyes.
Oh, hello. So cute. I open my eyes to a sight so stunning it takes my breath away. The sky is filled with shooting stars. It's a meteor shower. Think of all the wishes you could have. It's like magic.
You're the Tenebrarum Bearer. I'm sure you could perform this kind of magic if you wanted to.
I did not ever think I could capture this kind of natural beauty. Waltz looks at me, smiling gently.
They're beautiful, but not as beautiful as you, little star.
The words make my heart hitch. Sometimes I think I do not deserve you, Waltz.
That has never been true. I am the unworthy one, Lucette.
I disagree. You have always been more than worthy, Waltz. Thank you, Waltz. For everything. I am so happy we were able to spend this much time together today.
Me too.
Waltz looks quiet, thoughtful as he gazes up at the night sky.
Someday, when everything is more stable, I hope we can spend even more time together. And that we can share that time with others.
Others? Waltz's eyes are sparkling just as brightly as the stars when he looks at me again. If you're about to ask me how I feel about children...
May I ask you a question?
Of course.
Someday in the future, when we're ready...
I knew it! I freaking knew it. I knew what this was leading up to.
How many children do you want?
The question makes my cheeks burn. Children? 0. Preferably 0. Aw, come on, you guys. I know you two would have lovely kids. I have no preference.
No.
Any child we have would be a blessing. Now it is Waltz who blushes. The rosiness of his cheeks makes me laugh. How many would you want?
You're right. Any child would be a blessing. But
You want many children.
how did you know?
It is not hard to guess. You are always so good with them, Waltz. Children adore you. I only hope I would be as good a mother as you are a father.
There's no doubt in my mind. The children love you too, you know.
But my mother...
You aren't your mother, Lucette. You're full of love and light, little star, and you would be an amazing mother.
Is there a reason you asked me this question in the first place?
Well, you were talking about the future earlier.
That is the far future.
Wherever and whenever this future is, I'm looking forward to it.
I sigh, but I'm smiling. Me too, Waltz. I lean my head against his shoulder. He interlaces his fingers through mine and kisses my head. For a while, the two of us sit there watching the stars. We do not think about the crushing weight of the present, but instead turn our gazes toward our dream of a brighter future. Aw, so cute.